Hello, innovators, and welcome to another exciting episode of our weekly Cloud On Air Innovator Series. I'm Chloe Condon, a cloud advocate here at Google, and I'll be your host each week as we dive into different technical topics, watch demos, and learn best practices from some of our top experts here at Google. If you joined us last week, welcome back, and if you're new here, welcome! We're so excited to have you join us and be a part of our online community. Now, if you're joining us live, you may notice that we have a live chat. Feel free to use this space to interact with other viewers, let us know where you're joining from, and ask any questions you may have about the topics being discussed in today's session. One of our moderators will try to answer you live in chat, or you may just be lucky enough to have your question answered live on the air during our question and answer session with our speaker at the end of this presentation. And if you're not joining us live, join us next time. Make sure to register for one of our upcoming sessions so you can join in on all the fun live as it happens. To learn more, check out cloudonair.withgoogle.com, and you'll be able to take a look at our previous streams and register for any of our upcoming sessions. You can take a look at previous sessions, maybe one that I did, or take a peek at one of the upcoming ones where we'll be covering cloud topics like data analytics, GenAI, security, developer productivity, and so much more. We have a great library of content for you to look through, so feel free to check out our catalog of videos from Google experts that you can watch on demand for free. Without further ado, let's begin today's session. Take it away.
Hi, thank you for joining us today. I get the pleasure of talking to you about how to take your data from where it is now and quickly and easily turn it into a GenAI application. My name is David White, and I get to work for Google within their customer growth engine team, and my area of focus is around AI and modern infrastructure. So what are we going to talk about today? Well, first we're going to talk a little bit about why it's important, why this presentation is actually going to be meaningful for you. Then we'll talk a little bit about what this looks like when you actually roll it out, some examples of partners and customers who have actually done this, what your next steps might be, and then we'll have time at the end for Q&A. So if you have questions as we go through the presentation, please just put them in the chat. So first and foremost, why is this important? Why should this matter? And I'm going to start that by asking a slightly different question. What do natural gas, sawdust, and data all have in common? So natural gas and oil, the modern natural gas and oil industry was kicked off in the 1850s when a Scottish chemist discovered that he could take this liquid that they were finding in the bottom of coal mines and distill it into something that they could use in lamps as a replacement for whale oil and other things that they had been using for light that were smelly, that were very smoky, and frankly not so kind to the whales. As they explored more and more ways to use this, the oil boom took off. And by the end of the 1800s, they were drilling more and more oil wells. But what they were finding was, as they were sinking these oil wells, this gas would often accompany the oil. And the gas was highly flammable and very dangerous, and they didn't really know what to do with it. And so they just burned it off. That gas we now know is natural gas and has grown to be a $300 trillion global market. And yet, even today, there are places and times when the infrastructure just isn't there to allow them to capture it, and they still just burn it off. It's like taking a flame to money because they just don't have the tools to be able to monetize it. Similarly, sawdust. Nobody gets up in the morning and goes to work to make sawdust. Sawdust is the byproduct of what you do. And it accumulates and it has to be dealt with. And you've got to sweep it up and you've got to do something with it. And it's a burden. Well, suddenly somebody decided, you know what? You can actually monetize that sawdust and it's less of a burden. You can press it and use it for cooking pellets, or you can use it to make laminated composite wood and build furniture out of it. And all of a sudden, what used to be just a cost became a revenue center. Similarly for data, many companies, retail, manufacturing, you name it, their goal when they get up in the morning and go to work is not to generate data. It's to get their job done. Data is the byproduct of the work that they are already doing, and that data has to be stored. It has to be managed. It has to be regulated. It has to be backed up. It has to be restored. It can be a significant burden for enterprises whose business is not data, and yet data is the raw material of AI. It is what feeds the engine. And so let's look at how you can monetize that data that you're creating anyway. All of these things are byproducts. They're not the intended outcome of the work that's being done, but all of them have value that can be extracted if you've got the right tools and infrastructure in place. I'm sure your first thought is, but it's really complicated to do this. And it is really complicated. However, Google has worked very hard to make it simple. We've assembled a collection of all of the different tools and things that you may need to do this in a giant studio or workshop where all of the tools are categorized and laid out for you. But the truth is, you don't actually need to use all of them if you just want to get started. To just get started, either you can take advantage of our fully managed offerings in Vertex, or you can have the control and granularity of doing it yourself using our GPUs and TPUs and our Kubernetes engine for orchestration. So let's take a look at what that might look like. At its most basic, what you really need to do is data transfer, data transform, model training, model serving, and the applications. Well, what does that actually mean? Well, data transfer means you just need to take the data from wherever it is and bring it into Google Cloud. Data transformation is taking the data that you've just brought in and transforming it into a format that can be consumed by the model training engines so that it can quickly and easily make meaning out of it. Once you've created these models, then model serving is what makes that model available for applications to be able to tap into and to be able to start delivering that value. And then the applications themselves are what interface with that served model and are what the end users, end customers, internal staff would actually be interacting with. As I mentioned, Google allows you to do this in fully managed or do-it-yourself ways. You have your choice. You can mix and match, but we're going to talk about each of these two paths as we look at the 5 different steps. So when it comes to data transfer, leveraging our Vertex AI platform gives you access to all of these underlying tools and capabilities across that entire lifecycle, across that entire platform, from transfer to transformation to training and serving and app creation. So when we look at the data transfer, for Vertex, Vertex has data connectors that allow you to attach it to the data that you already have. often this might be used in the serving or the inference piece, but it allows Vertex to speak directly to your data. And whether it's structured or unstructured, if it's structured, you can bring in data not just that's coming through BigQuery or cloud storage or other places that you might store it in Google Cloud, but even into things like Confluence or Jira or Salesforce, where your data natively lives. All of that can be connected into Vertex using Vertex's AI data connectors. If you want to do it yourself, Google offers PubSub as a way to collect real-time data. All of those messages, whether it's monitoring the telemetry of what's going on in your organization or inventory changes or whatever you have, all of those very quick, very small messages that come out of all of your systems can be consolidated through PubSub and then injected into this pipeline. Or you can use data flow if you want to pick up batch data. So rather than those in the moment, very small messages that come across, if you want to aggregate all of that data and pick it up in a block and move it over, data flow is an outstanding option to be able to help you move that data. Well, then what do you do? Well, then you have to take the data that's in all of these different formats, and you need to structure it in a way that your model training is able to consume it. And again, Google provides the tools to do that. If you want to use our Vertex suite, we have Vertex AI Workbench. AI Workbench is an incredible tool that's all grounded in notebooks, and Jupyter Notebooks in particular. And if you've never had an opportunity to work with Jupyter Notebooks, they're kind of magic. You essentially go into a notebook and you type what you want to happen. I want to spin up 1,000 nodes. I want to pull in this data set. You click a button and it magically just happens in the background. And it's no more complicated than literally just typing into a notebook. If you want a little bit more customizability, Dataproc and Data Fusion are Google's preferred tools to help you manage that data and transform it into what can be consumed by that training module. When you're actually doing the model training, and training can either be training from scratch or taking one of the models off the shelf that already exists and enhancing it or tuning it using your data. So you may not have to build it entirely from scratch, but you still get value and the benefit of customizing it for your staff and your users by using your data. With the model training, you can either do this through Vertex, again, leveraging Vertex workbooks, and to be able to do the training and the testing and all of the rest of those operations that go into creating those rich and robust and highly customized models. Or again, you can manage it all yourself. And Google makes available GPUs. We have a full suite of NVIDIA's latest GPU offerings ranging from the H100s and A100s, super high performance, outstanding for use with large language models, all the way through things that are a little bit more cost-effective or a little bit more balanced, like L4s and T4s, and down to P100s, where now you're able to start bringing in some remote visualization to be able to better display the data that you're working with. TPUs are very similar to GPUs in that they are customized circuits, but they are unique to Google. Google invented a process or a technology called tensors that has become very core to a lot of the AI work that's being done, and open sourced it and made it available to the world. While GPUs do a great job of working with tensors, TensorFlow processing units have been designed specifically for working with those tensors and can increase the efficiency and the productivity per clock cycle or per turn of the crank significantly, and can provide a tremendous benefit both in terms of speed and in terms of cost effectiveness by leveraging TPUs where they are appropriate to use. They may not be appropriate everywhere, but when they are, they can be a tremendous value. And then lastly, leveraging our Google Kubernetes engine. This is our orchestration management plane that allows you to manage at scale, and massive scale at that, all of the different containers that go into making all of these things work. And then model serving. Model serving and model training are very much two sides of the same coin. And in fact, we use exactly the same tools. When you look at doing the model serving, you can either do that through Vertex and manage all of the different components there, or again, you can do it yourself and you can take advantage of our GPUs, TPUs, and Google Kubernetes engine. And then lastly, what brings it all together? What brings it all together is the application. So you've taken the data, you've trained the models or you've tuned the models, you've served them up and made them available either to your customers externally or maybe just to your staff internally, or maybe even just a subset of your staff that you want to have access that particular data. So how do you create those applications that allow them to really take advantage, really see the value of this data? Within our Vertex family of products, we have Vertex AI Search and Conversation. It used to be known as Gen App Builder, and is a great way if you don't have serious developer chops to be able to go in and quickly stand up an application that is able to interface with the model being served and create that value for your staff or for your customers. If you are that kind of developer, or if you are the developer that works in an IDE, or you have those on your staff that really build more traditional applications, Google offers our cloud workstations. These are cloud-hosted IDEs that allow developers to very quickly spin up and get up to speed on developing applications in order to tap into the models that you've created. They're super flexible. They support over a dozen different IDEs. They're great when you have contractors or other people that you're going to be quickly deploying or bringing on and bringing out. They are fully managed, and you can control all of it within your Google console. So that all sounds great, but does it really work that way? Is it really that easy? Well, let me give you a couple of examples. Google has a couple of wonderful partnerships with customers like Snorkel and Wayfair. Wayfair, world-leading e-commerce retailer, 40 million products, 20+ million customers. And they had a challenge. And the challenge was, of all of those products, people shopping online, they see the image, they want to be able to search, and they want to be able to search in a very detailed manner. And Wayfair was a bit constrained in how much detail each of those 40 million products had that somebody could search on. If you're looking for a brown couch, you type in brown couch, you get a lot of brown couches. But what if you want a brown couch with these kinds of legs and that kind of back and that kind of material and that shade of brown? All of these enhanced richness of search was really a challenge because there was such limited information available for each of those products. Snorkel came in, and by building on top of Google Cloud and taking advantage of Vertex, they put their Snorkel flow in the middle of Wayfair's pipeline, and they were able to actually use Vision AI to look at the pictures and build a much richer data set for each image that allowed for greater granularity, more precision in that search, that allowed Wayfair's customers to have a much greater satisfaction and experience, not to mention just how much faster they're able to get to the products that they really want to buy. Weights and Biases, another great partner of Google's, they provide an MLOps platform, helps teams build models faster, really provides some guardrails and some assistance as customers are creating those models. And what do? Well, they ride on top of the Vertex platform. And they leverage their distinct technology in conjunction with what Google has already provided to be able to really enhance, create a better experience for their end customers, to streamline all of the fine-tuning of those models, the prompt engineering, and lastly, to really be able to maximize the usage of those GPUs and TPUs. Those GPUs and TPUs are incredibly powerful tools. And if you don't use them right, you can end up running up very expensive bills without a lot to show for it. So by leveraging weights and biases, it allows you to really make sure you're getting the most bang for your buck out of those very powerful resources. Another partner, Elemental Cognition. By bringing together the foundational large language models on Vertex, Elemental Cognition is able to really enhance what customers are able to do with research and discovery across all different kinds of data, whether it's structured, whether it's unstructured, whether it's private, doesn't matter. They really kind of turbocharge that search capabilities. And it's built on Kubernetes, it's built on Vertex, they use TPUs, they use data flow, just like we laid out for you. They really help customers improve inference and reasoning, language fluency, and provable correctness. It enhances your ability to go back and verify this really is the right answer. And then lastly, Glean, another tremendous partner of Google's. They have done incredible work with search and introduced technology that it really allows you to elevate search to the next level. So that as your staff inside your organization is looking across file stores, data shares, intranets, email, you name it, any place where data is, where someone's going to have to spend hours hunting around to try and find just that piece of information, Glean consolidates it all. And Glean really allows you to have a much richer search experience that allows your staff to be significantly more efficient and more effective. In fact, we were just very proud to be working with Glean on one of the largest retailers in the country that we just signed an agreement with. Again, it allows you to search across every part of your organization to find the relevant, most important personalized answers in order to keep your staff running at peak efficiency. You can actually discover insights you never knew existed by being able to have that kind of rapid access to the data available. And it's already using tools you already know. You don't have to learn a whole new platform. So what do you think makes sense for next steps? First and foremost, think about your data. What kind of data do you have and how might it be useful? Is this something that you would want to give to your end customers so that they've got a better opportunity to look at support and maintenance information, for example? Do you want to give it to your customer support people so they have better visibility about buying patterns of someone they're on the phone with? Or the folks managing inventory or manufacturing? Where is it that you have the opportunity to take this data that you've just got sitting around and monetize it in a way that's going to make things better? Take a look at cloud.google.com/AI. We have a huge wealth of resources there for you to explore. If you don't already have an account team, you can fill out the form and someone is happy to reach out to you and have the conversations. If you want to get your hands on some of these products in a very easy, low-cost, low-risk way, check out cloudskillsboost.google. This is one of our training platforms that goes beyond just a demo, but actually creates on the fly a temporary Google Cloud environment and then walks you through step by step how you actually use the tools. And you do things exactly as though you were running in production. And then it just disappears after you're finished with it. And then lastly, if you haven't already signed up, make plans to visit us at Next this year. Next is our annual developer conference. It's going to be going on April 9th through 11th in Las Vegas. We would love to see you there and chat more about how we could be helpful for you in taking advantage of the data that you already have. At the end of the day, it's your data. Don't let it sit around just gathering dust. Okay, we're going to take a moment and be right back with questions. Okay, welcome back. So thank you everybody for such great questions. We're going to go through and answer them the best we can. The first one is, how are models created and can we customize it? The actual process of model creation gets a little bit complicated. We've kind of abstracted away some of the complexity by putting tools in front of it so that you don't have to get your hands too dirty. But I would encourage you to reach out to your account teams if you want a more in-depth description of how those models are actually created. You can also go to any of our resources on that /AI page, and they can walk you through in a little bit more depth exactly how the models get created. And then can they be customized? Absolutely. That's part of what the tuning process is where you customize it for your data, for your organization. Next question, can you speak more about how the data from companies, SharePoint or Google Docs, what happens typically in the steps to clean the data for model usage? So typically what would happen is, as the data comes in, the format of the data, the format of the file needs to be changed to something that is consumable. So the data that is coming in is going to get abstracted out, and then that data is going to get reformatted. And the format is typically something like a JSON file. And then those files can be very quickly ingested by the model training engine, and that's what it will use to then create or tune that model. Next question, can the data still reside on-prem while the ETL tool, Guess Vortex, be on the GCP side? And the answer is absolutely. We often get a question like that of, this all sounds great. I'm really excited about the opportunity to do this, but I'm not prepared to migrate all of my application and database and everything into Google Cloud just yet. Is there a way to still take advantage of this? And the answer is absolutely. Your applications can continue to run just like they always have. Your data can continue to reside on-prem. We just need to replicate it into Google Cloud, and we can help set up all of those pipelines and all of the pieces in order to pull that data into Google Cloud and then be able to leverage it into model training or model tuning. Next question, do I have to sign a commitment with Google in order to start building models and deploying them? The answer is no, you don't. If you do, we're able to give you more resources, we're able to give you better pricing, but the truth is you don't actually need to sign a commitment with us if you want to just get started. You are more than welcome to start using our services. All you need to do is go to cloud.google.com and sign up for an account if you don't already have one. Next question we have gotten more than a few times, and it's really questions and concerns around, as companies bring their highly proprietary information, whether it's customer data, whether it's intellectual property, and they want to build models, is there any risk of Google taking advantage of that data, of Google using their data or their models in order to enhance Google's models? And the answer is absolutely not. Your data is your data. Your models are your models. If you want to make them public, that is your decision. But we have no visibility and honestly not a lot of interest in tapping into your data or your models. We are providing the tools and resources and utilities for you to be able to do the most with your data that you can. Another question that we typically get is around other models. So there are lots of open models, there's lots of models from other companies. They all sound great also. Google has its own first-party models that it makes available. Am I restricted if I want to build on an existing model to only start with Google's large language models? And the answer is absolutely not. We have invested heavily in partnerships with customers and partners like Hugging Face and other model repositories to be able to tightly integrate either through our model garden, which is a feature set of all of Google's models as well as a number of third-party models that you can all quickly integrate in through Vertex or on your own into your own model tunings and enhancements. So you are in no way limited to only working with Google's first-party models if you want to fine-tune something as opposed to starting from scratch. Can I mix data from more than one application? You can, actually. Those are typically called RAG applications, or retrieval augmented generation. And basically what they allow you to do is, let's say you want to build a model for your customer service department, and you want the model to be trained on typical questions that customers might ask. And so they get very good at prompting and aiding the customer support department in responding to those typical questions. But let's say you also want it to be able to tap into another system and be able to enhance that response. So customer calls in and has a question about a product that they've already purchased. You may be able to have a live inventory feed come in through another system as part of that same prompt that delivers not just these are some of the things that you can add on to what you've already purchased, but this is the inventory availability and expected shipping dates. And for those other systems, you don't have to train the model on them. The model just has to know how to interface with them. And again, that can really greatly enhance and enrich the experience of the end users of those applications by bringing in this wide array of data across the board. Let's see, next question is, what is the future in IT companies in terms of AI and ML, and what do you suggest to learn new things? That may be one of my favorite questions that I get asked. The rate of change and novelty and invention and innovation is so great. It's so very hard to keep up with everything that's going on. How do you stay on top of these changes? You're doing it right now. Joining sessions like this, where we're able to talk to you about some of the latest in technologies. Leveraging our hands-on trainings, where we continue to enhance what we have there for you to be able to actually play with at your leisure. Keeping an eye on websites, like our /AI website, where we constantly are publishing the latest and most up-to-date innovations that we're coming out with, and honestly, trends that we're seeing across the industry. So there's a wide range of ways that you can kind of stay on top of what's coming down. How does pricing work for Vertex AI? That is an outstanding question. Most of it is all bundled up as a managed service, but I would strongly encourage you to reach out to your account team. If you don't have an account team, go to that /AI page and complete a contact form, and one will reach out to you. We've got a tremendous number of incentive programs and co-investments that Google is willing to make in their relationship in order to make it very cost-effective for you to be able to come on board and start taking advantage of some of these tools and technologies. What else do we have? What kind of SOC 2 compliance do you provide for B2B companies that wish to use Google Cloud? That is a great question that kind of goes beyond this particular presentation. I would encourage you to reach out to your account team. We have all of the information in order to provide SOC 2 compliance, all of the information on where the forms and certifications and whatever else that you may need. So I would highly encourage you to reach out to your account team for that information. If we are using Firebase, how can I implement TensorFlow? Again, it's a little bit more technical depth than what we had planned for this presentation. Please reach out to your account teams. They can put you in touch with all of the technical resources that can walk you through all of the bits and bytes of the intricacies of some of these technologies. Similarly, we had a question about using Chat Bison for translation between languages. Can we discuss whether it's possible to fine-tune against that LLM and what to think about in order to add additional languages? Again, that's something I would want you to walk through with the AI specialists that your account team can bring to bear. So reach out to them, and they can give you much better answer, much deeper content on how you can work with those different technologies. Is there any way to take advantage of already trained models provided by Vertex to digest my data without reinventing the wheel? If I understand the question, the act of tuning the model is essentially that you are taking already trained models that are provided by Google or by your preferred third-party provider, and then you are tuning them or enhancing them using your data. So you are making them more specific for your use case, for your population, for your staff, for your customers. But that's exactly what that process of tuning is. And we've got a tremendous number of customers who are doing that already. How useful is the vector index on Vertex AI? How does it work? Is it GA'd yet? Again, I'd really suggest that you reach out to your account teams for that so that they can bring in those technical specialists and really walk you through how vector index and Vertex AI work together. Okay. Does Vertex provide prompt templates like LangChain provides to help guide the model? I apologize to keep punting this to the account team, but I really want to make sure that you get the right answer for your use cases. So I would suggest that you reach out to them so that they can bring in the resources to kind of help walk you through what opportunities would be there for you in working with the models and prompting. And it looks like that might be it. Okay. I want to thank everybody for joining us. It's been a pleasure to be able to speak with you today about these different topics. And please do make plans to join us at Next. Reach out to your account teams, check out the website, take advantage of our hands-on demos through Cloud Skills Boost. And we look forward to talking to you more about these really exciting technologies. Thank you very much.
At Google Cloud Next, we're announcing an amazing show.
All right, cue the music.
We're building the new way to cloud.
So that just means we get to think even bigger.
And now, helping you connect like never before.
Let's start with development.
I'm loving this. Super cool.
AI is going to change the game for all of us.
Live on the demo stage.
I can't tell you how excited I am to continue blowing people's minds.
We're now in the midst of one of the most profound technology shifts in history. There's so much more for all of us to explore together that'll power this next chapter of digital transformation.